Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. And I always say, when I start my talks, usually that today is the first day of the rest of your life. And that's because it is. And it's your choice what you do with it. I like to have it with ease and not dis-ease. So today, we're going to have a look at what stress is. And really, is it what you think? So you probably have a whole bunch of ideas of what stress is for you. First, we're going to have a look at what you think it is. And then we're going to have a look at where it comes from, and so what it really is. And then I'm going to give you a gift. And that's what you can do about it once you figured out what it is. Anybody here not like gifts? Good, because otherwise I was going to say when we get to that point, you're welcome to leave. So tell me, what do you think stress is? Lack of clarity, yeah.
Too many things to fit in one day.
Too many things, yeah.
Wound up like a coil, lots of headaches.
Sorry,
Wound up like a coil with lots of headaches.
that's the symptom.
Yeah.
Lack of focus.
Lack of focus. So for
You're not
men,
doing what you expected to.
things are doing, yeah, what you expect them to.
GDPR.
GDPR. So for many people, they say they've got too much work. But for some people, it might be they haven't got enough work. And they're bored and they actually love a challenge. And they're sitting there in an office with really nothing to do. And that can stress people out. Time pressure, we've mentioned. Relationship issues, as I mentioned earlier. It can be the children, the parents, money. Many people think it's not having enough money. But for some people, it's having too much money and not knowing, well, where do I invest it? What's the right place to put it? And is it going to work? And is it going to do what I need it to do? But can you trust that advisor to give you the right advice?
Yes.
Yes, Alice is first. And so on. So these are all outside things that people think causes them stress. So what solutions might you have for all those things? How do you deal with your stress? What do you do?
Keep fit.
Keep fit, yeah.
Delegate.
Delegate, good one.
Bury your head in the sand.
Sorry?
Bury my head in the sand.
Bury your head in the sand.
Look at what can be done.
Outsource, yeah.
Take a pill.
Alcohol. Don't you chuckle?
Write a list. So a lot of these things fit in these categories. Some of them don't, but we need more time. So we have these time management strategies and how to fit all this stuff into the time that we've got, because you can't have more time. We've all got 24 hours. In some cases, 50 days. So what is it that we're putting into that time? We might think, oh, I need to put more effort into it. You need to, get these things sorted, and, exercise can be a one. But I'm not saying it's a bad thing. But that really implies we need to put some effort into something to fix it. Might need to throw money at it. You need some more energy. But when you think about all these things, does it make you more stressed or less stressed? More stressed. Thank you, sir. You need to be more rational. However, stress is an emotion, and you cannot rationalise an emotion. Maybe you need more information to figure out how to deal with this thing called stress. But I am going to give you a bit of information. But it's making sure you've got the right information. And actually, we're in the era where we can get all the information that we want at our fingertips with technology. And yet, stress has become the norm. That doesn't make it normal. So, getting more information hasn't made us any less stressed. So, what's going on? Einstein said, apparently, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's what's been happening with stress. This is what I noticed in my journey. When I started in 1993, what I was dealing with was repetitive strain injury. It was the thing of the day. Every era has its disease or syndrome, symptom. And so I treated lots of people with RSI. Had very good results. And time went on and RSI wasn't the thing anymore. But I was still getting all these symptoms. By 2016, I realised I'm still getting people with headaches and back pains and depression, anxiety, panic attacks, breathing issues, asthma, etc., etc., etc. And I thought, it all boils down to the same thing, stress. They're all just symptoms of their stress. And the body is reflecting it in a different way, depending on how they are processing that information. Every disease has its particular pattern. It's what I call disease language. So I call it repetitive stress injury now. And that's what I deal with. And I see it walking around in the shops. And I call it spending time repeatedly exaggerating small stuff. And for the clever people around the room, you'll realise that spells stress. Because people are going on about their kids having the wrong socks, they're not paired up properly. The kid that wasn't holding on to the pram. Matt mentioned the issue of the baby in the bus in his presentation that wouldn't put their wellies on. It's small stuff. Sometimes you might have an argument, and that's when you know you're stressed, because you come back and you think, what was that about? I remember having an argument with my husband about £5 in my accounts. And I thought, yeah, but it's my account. Why has he got a problem with it? But his history was the stress of not being able to leave the bank where he worked until it had balanced to the penny. That was his stress. And I was glad I recognised that. So as I said, stress might be the norm. That doesn't make it normal. And it doesn't mean you have to live with it. So, you had a thought about what stress is. And if it's what you think, and what you've done hasn't worked, then was it what you thought it was? And therefore, what are you going to do to deal with it? So I mentioned all this more, and the more stuff we have, the more stress it seems to cause. And Einstein also said that peace, which I think, hands up if you think that kind of equates to the opposite of stress. Yeah, some nods, some hands, great. You're still awake, you're following instructions, good. So, peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. So, I'm going to help you understand you and stress. Hopefully. So I'd like you to take a moment, and you can write this down on a piece of paper if you want. What is your stress level on a scale of 0 to 10? I'm not going to see this, so that's fine. You can be completely honest with yourself. Yeah, might depend on the day or the week. Just, what is it right now? Because you can only judge with what you are right now.
Go off the scale.
And how committed are you to dealing with your stress level? And mark that on a 0 to 10. I can see the cogs ticking. And if you're not at a 9 or 10, then that might be just a piece of the puzzle that you're missing to deal with it. If you're not completely committed to solving the issue, then it's unlikely that you'll find the solution. If I had a magic wand, which I have,
Oh, I love that.
Oh, marvellous.
Oh, that
I even have a second one.
She's showing off now.
There you go. So I'm going to wave my magic wand, and I can change one thing about you. What would you like it to be? Okay. So I've waved my magic wand. I've waved both my wands. Something's changed about you. How does that affect your stress level? And if it doesn't, then are you really committed to dealing with your stress level? So these are just the kinds of questions that I ask people, because once you get some understanding of what's really going on, then you can actually deal with it. And I've asked this one before, but some of you may not have been there. Who are the 5 most important people in your life? And if you can only find 3, that's fine. Okay, and hands up,
Yes.
who's put themselves on that list? Yeah, good, you've heard me speak before. Oh, you've had a one-to-one.
Yeah, I've learnt that one.
Most people don't. So if you are not on the top of that list, at least as much as everybody else rotates at the top of that list. So you might be looking after parents, looking after children, you know, husbands, wives, partners. They all take their turn as to who becomes priority. If you are not at least on that list as much as they are, in turn, then how are you going to deal with your stress? Because a lot of it is to do with getting your needs met. And if your needs are not prioritised, then it's not surprising you're getting stressed. So what is stopping you? What is stopping you dealing with your stress?
Yourself.
Time? Yourself. Yeah.
Laziness. Too lazy to tackle it.
Is it too lazy?
You know, so?
Is it
Oh,
too
God,
lazy?
now getting
Yes, exactly. We're getting deep. What is it that really stops us? You know, we haven't got time to do these things. That's what we were looking at earlier. There's something much deeper.
You're not aware, lack of awareness.
Lack of awareness, yeah.
Fear.
Fear, very good one. And fear of, if it's the thing that you really want, or the thing that you don't want the stress, why would you not then tackle it? And actually that's what's happening. Whilst we're focusing on the stress, we have no idea what it is we want instead. And if you don't know what you want instead, it's very hard to achieve. I don't want to go to London. And somebody's going to say, well, where do you want to go then? I don't know. Well, just get in the car, drive. You'll get there. So we need to know what there is instead of. And this is why people are doing the same stuff over and over again, expecting a different outcome. They want to get rid of their stress, but the only thing they're focusing on is their stress. So they're getting the same outcome. So, my definition of what stress is. It starts with, it's not. It's not what's happening to us. It's not all that stuff outside. It's not how much time we've got or how little time we've got or, whether we've got the money or not the money. It's our response to what is happening. And it's a feeling of lack of control. That's the fear. It's a bit like a roller coaster. Some people love it, some people hate it. So there's stuff that you like and you just flow with it. There's stuff that you don't like. And then that's the stress. So it's the feeling of lack of control, but sometimes you like that. So there's an extra bit to it. And it's believing that when you're not in control, you don't feel secure. And we continue to want to feed that security with more. We believe that having more will make us more secure. Are you with me? Yes. I know I'm going deep, and it's early morning. It's the point at which we freeze. And I'm not talking about the fight, flight, freeze, which is part of the normal reaction to stress. Talking about that thing of, I can't make a decision. Your business kind of stops because you're not in flow anymore. You all know when, things are going great. It's flowing. We are mostly water. You know that. You've told us that. And when things don't go well, we behave as if we're ice. And it's when our head and our heart, our body and our mind are no longer talking the same language. My job is obviously to help unravel all of that. And I love doing that. So I then asked myself, well, how did people ever get to that point? Why do we freeze? Why do we lack the clarity to be able to make decisions when our head and our heart are speaking the same language and we go, yes, that's what's right for me right now, even if in 20 years' time it proves to be the wrong decision. It was right at the time. It's often because people haven't got a big picture or they've lost sight of it. And it's because they were not on their priority list to create that big picture for themselves. They've lost track of their values and their principles, and they might be in a job that they hate and they continue doing it. And they allow themselves to be bullied by bosses or colleagues because they haven't put themselves on the top of that priority list. They've disconnected from their feelings, as you said, because it's too scary. It involves doing some digging, some rooting around and figuring out what's going on with our feelings. But our feelings are just emotions. And emotions are just energy in motion. And you need that motion to keep flowing. It's living with tolerances. Little stuff. Every time you see something that isn't quite how you would like it to be, Davina will know, my database isn't quite doing what I'd like it to do. And every time I come to that point of wanting to do something, although I end up with the result I want, there's always the thing, it really is an easier way to do this, I'm sure. But I haven't yet tackled it. but I've now given Davina the job of tackling it. So it's living with these things. And it can be simple things, like leaving cupboard doors open, like children not putting their laundry in the laundry basket, and it just goes on and on. It's amazing what we live with and we don't resolve, but every time we see it, it takes you right back to that stress level. And because we've become human doings rather than human beings. Because while we're doing, we don't have to think about all this other stuff. So what's this?
Your magic button.
It kind of is a magic button. Sorry, red?
The green circle, a red one for your candle.
Yeah. It's a round to it. Because people say, yeah, I'll deal with it when I get round to it. And you're at the bottom of that list when you get round to it. So right now is going to be the time when I'll give you my gift to get round to it. So stress isn't on the outside. Then is it on the inside? If all this more isn't working, how might less be? So you've all said you like gifts. Good. So when somebody gives you a compliment, are you really comfortable with that? Or do you kind of get a bit, ooh? Because every time somebody pays you for the job that you've done, they're giving you a gift. And if you've got any hesitation about receiving gifts and allowing that to flow into your life, it's creating stress for you. And how does it feel when you say no to something or somebody so that you can say yes to you? People have talked about, wanting to have time to go and play the golf or do their running. But they're too busy. That means saying yes to you. But it often means saying no. Most people don't like saying no. And we're not brought up to say no. So we say yes, and we just keep saying yes to more and more and more until we get to the point of overwhelm. And we don't have to. Anybody here can think of more than one thought at a time?
Oh God, I do love them sometimes. Usually when I'm trying to get to sleep.
But they all come in a sequence.
Mm.
We can only think of one thought at any one point in time. Good, you're all normal. I was worried about that one. And who has time to breathe?
Yes.
Good, so you're all breathing? Yeah? Great, you're all alive. So, my gift is, if you can only think of one thought at any one point, and you've got time to breathe, then you're going to be able to use my gift. Einstein also said, see, I'm a great fan, life is like a bicycle. To keep your balance, you have to keep moving. You don't want to get to the point of freezing. And if you don't believe that, I've brought one of my wobble boards, which I use with my clients to help improve their balance. Because not being stressed involves having that balance, and it comes as much from what's going on in your body as what's going on in your mind. So you can have a little go on that. And so I like to bring people happiness. And that's by embracing your fears, leveraging your strength, and taking positive action. Because we need to keep moving. And you need to know how you want to feel. You know what stress is like, but what is it that you want instead? Peace, but what does that actually feel like? So I'd like you to notice the speed of your thoughts. How fast are they going? They've probably slowed down a bit from when we started. How fast are you breathing? What's going on in your mind? And this is what I call square breathing. And it's the main tool that I give my clients when they first come to see me, because it does work magic, and that's why I wave my magic wand. And it's very simple. You breathe in a square. You breathe in for a count of 4, you hold for a count of 4, you breathe out for a count of 4, and you hold for a count of 4. So I'm going to go through it with you. So when you're ready, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and continue.
And we breathe out again now.
So then continue.
He's dead.
I'm struggling now, and he went.
And now notice the speed of your thoughts.